Hey listeners, tonight we're rewinding the clock way back, past your last Wi-Fi outage, past even the invention of the wheel, to a time when your biggest concern wasn't doom scrolling, but whether that suspiciously lumpy liquid in your makeshift pouch was going to kill you or just taste really weird. Seriously, if we dropped you into this moment right now, you might not last till lunch. But don't worry, you're safe in bed. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Seriously, no pressure, just mutual appreciation vibes. And hey, drop a comment below telling me what city you're listening from and what time it is for you right now. It's always cool to feel that global bedtime story connection. Now, turn off your phone screen, turn down the volume, listen to my storytelling, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The air hits you first, dry, dusty, and hot enough to make the distant hills shimmer like a mirage. You're not just in the Middle East, around 8,000 years ago. You are the landscape. Sun-baked skin, calloused hands, feet tough as leather from walking miles behind your small flock of sheep, or maybe goats. The scent is a potent mix of animal sweat, dry grass, and the faint, ever-present tang of dust. Forget stainless steel fridges and neatly labeled cartons. Your world revolves around survival, season after relentless season. You've mastered fire, maybe even started dabbling in planting seeds. That whole agriculture thing is just getting interesting. And crucially, you've managed to domesticate a few woolly, bleeding creatures. That's the big mainstream history nugget, the Neolithic Revolution, where humans shifted from hunter-gatherers to herders and farmers. It changed everything, including what ended up in your stomach pouch. Ah, the stomach pouch. Your most reliable, albeit slightly gross by modern standards, piece of travel tech. Picture this. You've just butchered a young sheep for a rare feast. Nothing goes to waste. The skin becomes rough clothing or shelter, the bones, tools, or ornaments. The meat, well, dinner. And the stomach? That's your MVP. Your natural, biodegradable, surprisingly durable water bottle and milk carrier. You carefully clean it, sort of. Clean is a relative term here. Tie off one end, and voila, instant container. Today, you filled it with fresh, still warm sheep's milk for your journey back to the family camp. It sloshes reassuringly against your hip as you walk, the liquid warmth seeping through the thin membrane of the stomach lining. Hours pass under the relentless sun. The milk sloshes, jostles, gets nice and cozy inside its fleshy thermos. You're not thinking about chemistry. You're thinking about thirst, about the distance left, maybe about that annoying pebble in your sandal. Inside that pouch, though, something extraordinary is happening, completely unbeknownst to you. That sheep stomach lining isn't just inert packaging. It's teeming with rennet, a complex mix of enzymes, chief among them, one called chymosin. This is the weird little science bit. Rennet's natural job is to curdle the mother's milk in the young animal's stomach, slowing its digestion so the nutrients can be absorbed properly. Your jostling journey? That's just giving the rennet a really good shake, mixing it thoroughly with the warm milk, and keeping everything at the perfect lukewarm temperature for magic or disaster to occur. Finally, you reach a shady spot near a trickle of water. Throat parched, you untie the pouch, ready for a refreshing gulp. You tip it, and instead of smooth, white liquid pouring out, something lumpy and watery plops messily into your cupped hands or onto the ground. Ew. Just ew. It looks spoiled. It looks wrong. It looks like something your gut instinct screams at you to throw as far away as possible. Your nose wrinkles. Is that sour? A faint tang hangs in the air, alien and unwelcome compared to the sweet freshness of the milk hours before. Disappointment crashes over you. Precious calories, wasted. That milk was food, maybe even trade. Now it's this weird, semi-solid gloop swimming in a thin, yellowish liquid. Frustration wars with disgust. Maybe you poke it suspiciously with a stick. It holds its shape, wobbling slightly. Definitely not milk anymore. What dark spirit cursed your lunch? Here comes the moment of truth. The pivot point on which the entire history of delicious charcuterie boards hinges. Hunger is a powerful motivator. Maybe the journey was longer than expected. Maybe game was scarce. That gnawing emptiness in your belly overrides the initial wave of revulsion. You eye the lumpy mess. The thin liquid, we now call it whey, looks vaguely drinkable, though unappealing. But the solid bits, the curds, they look alien. But what if? What if it's not poison? What if it's just weird food? With a courage fueled by desperation and, let's be honest, profound curiosity, you take a deep breath, pinch off a tiny piece of the pale, rubbery solid, close your eyes, and pop it into your mouth. You brace for the worst, violent sickness, immediate regret. The texture is strange, springy, yet yielding. Then the flavor hits. It's mild, milky but different, concentrated. A faint tang, yes, but not the overwhelming sourness of truly rotten milk you've encountered before. It's not sweet like fresh milk, but it's pleasant, savory, even. You swallow cautiously. No stomach cramps. No sudden urge to, well, let's keep it pleasant for bedtime. Tentatively, you try a slightly larger piece. Actually, not bad. Kind of good. You sip a little whey. It's thin, slightly sour, refreshing in a way water isn't. The disappointment melts away, replaced by pure, unadulterated wonder. Your spoiled milk transformed. Accidentally. You haven't just found a way to salvage a potential loss. You've stumbled upon something entirely new. A new taste, a new texture, a new possibility. That humble sheep stomach pouch wasn't just a carrier. It was history's first accidental cheese factory. And you, sweaty, dusty, and probably smelling faintly of sheep, are its bewildered, pioneering founder. Was this exact scene in the Fertile Crescent the absolute birthplace? Well, historians and archaeologists are still gently arguing about the precise where and when, with potential evidence popping up in other early herding cultures. But the how, the beautiful, messy accident, that feels universal. The shock of that first taste fades, replaced by a buzzing, insistent curiosity that worms its way into your thoughts during the long days tending your flock. It wasn't poison, it wasn't bad. It was different. And different in a world where every calorie counts is worth investigating. You find yourself deliberately saving a bit of fresh milk after the next butchering, pouring it carefully into another clean sheep stomach pouch. You tie it off, sling it over your shoulder as you walk a familiar route, consciously jostling it against your hip, mimicking the journey that sparked the first transformation. You're no longer just a herder, you're an accidental food scientist in a leather loincloth, conducting the world's first, and probably smelliest, culinary experiment. Your family thinks you're a bit odd, poking at strange lumps instead of just drinking the milk fresh, but the gnawing question won't let go. Can I make it happen again? Days later, you untie the pouch with the focused anticipation of a modern chef plating a signature dish. There it is, the familiar separation. Less ew, more aha. This time, the revulsion is minimal. You scoop out the curds eagerly. The texture is consistent, the mild, milky flavor with its pleasant tang becoming recognizable, almost comforting. The whey, sipped cautiously, is refreshingly tart on a hot day. Success. But the practical herder in you kicks in. These curds are wet, messy, and won't last long in the heat. You need a way to handle them, to store them. You glance around your camp. What do you have? Pottery is still crude and precious, mostly used for water or grains. You need something simpler, more disposable. Your eyes land on a bundle of reeds drying nearby, gathered for weaving mats. Inspiration strikes, messy and brilliant. You grab a handful of reeds, still flexible but sturdy. Sitting cross-legged in the dust, you begin weaving them not into a mat, but into a loose, shallow basket. It's rough, uneven, full of gaps, far from artisan craftsmanship, but that's exactly what you need. You gently tip the curds from the stomach pouch into this crude reed sieve. The whey immediately starts trickling through the gaps, dripping steadily onto the ground below. You watch, fascinated, as the pile of white curds settles, becoming firmer, less watery, with each passing moment. This is it, humanity's first cheese strainer, a humble basket paving the way for brie and cheddar millennia later. You leave it draining for hours, maybe even a full day, sheltered from the sun. The result? A denser, more manageable cake of curds. Still fresh, still mild, but significantly less messy. You break off a piece, it holds its shape. Triumph. But the experimentation doesn't stop. Curiosity has you firmly in its grip. What if you used a pouch from a different animal? You've heard stories of others using calf stomachs for carrying liquids. You manage to trade for one. Filling it with sheep's milk, you repeat the journey. The result? Curds form. But something's different. They're firmer, faster. The calf rennet seems stronger, more efficient. You try goat stomach pouch with goat's milk, another variation in texture and speed. This is your era's biohacking. You start noticing patterns. Warmer days accelerate the separation, colder days slow it down. You learn to gauge the readiness by the thickness of the whey and the firmness of the curds when you poke them. Archaeologists have found pottery shards with distinctive perforations from this period, suggesting our Neolithic ancestors weren't just draining curds in baskets, but were already experimenting with purpose-made ceramic strainers. A significant tech leap. Were they copying the reed basket idea in a more durable material? It seems likely. Then comes another accidental discovery, born perhaps from necessity or forgetfulness. You've drained your curds in the reed basket, forming a neat little cake. You intend to eat it soon, but a sudden storm blows in, or a predator threatens the flock, demanding your attention for days. When you finally remember your little cheese project, tucked away in a cool corner of your simple shelter, you find it's changed. It's drier, firmer. The surface feels different, maybe a bit tacky. And the smell? Stronger, more complex. Not rotten, but developed. Nervously, you break off a piece. The texture is denser, grainier. The flavor? Wow. It's sharper, more pronounced. Saltier, but you didn't add salt, or did you? Here's the quirky bit. Salt wasn't always added deliberately at first. Think about your environment. You live near the sea, or perhaps you trade with people who do. Salt is a precious commodity, used primarily for preserving meat. Your hands, after handling dried fish or salt cakes, might have traces of it. When you handled the curds, some salt transferred. Or perhaps the reed basket itself rested on a surface where salt had been spilled. Even the natural minerals in the water you might have used to lightly wash the curds could play a role. This unintentional, minimal salt contact, combined with exposure to air over those extra days, initiated the earliest, most rudimentary form of cheese aging. The salt drew out a little more moisture and, crucially, started inhibiting the growth of truly bad bacteria, while allowing benign ones to work their slow magic on the flavor and texture. You didn't understand the microbiology, but your taste buds told you this older, drier, sharper version was not only safe, but intensely flavorful. A concentrated burst of sustenance that lasted longer than fresh curds. Was salt systematically used this early? Food historians debate the timeline, unsure if Neolithic cheesemakers understood salt's preservative role or just stumbled upon its effects. But stumble they did, onto another delicious dimension. So now you have tools. Your stomach pouches, nature's rennet bags, your reed baskets, or maybe even a precious perforated pot, and the dawning awareness of time and environment. You can make it fresh and mild, or let it sit and develop character. You start deliberately placing your drained curd cakes in different spots. A shady nook, a cooler corner near water, even burying one shallowly in the cool earth. You observe, you taste, you learn. Your cheese is no longer just a salvage operation. It's becoming a deliberate, valued part of your food supply. A lump of concentrated protein and fat, easily stored, easily transported, a welcome change from relentless fresh milk or tough dried meat. It's primitive, it's variable, but it's yours. And as you share this strange, solid milk with your family, seeing their hesitant acceptance turn to appreciation, you realize you're not just feeding them. You're pioneering a taste revolution, one accidental step, and one woven reed basket at a time. The journey of cheese has truly begun, moving from pure accident towards something resembling intention. The world dissolves and reforms around you, centuries melting like warm curds under a Mediterranean sun. The dusty plains and simple reed baskets blur, replaced by the rhythmic clatter of pots, the murmur of voices, and the unmistakable scent of wood smoke mingling with garlic, herbs, and, something richer, funkier. You blink, adjusting. Gone is the simple herder's life. Your hands, still calloused, are now wrist deep in a large, smooth stone basin, kneading a cool, yielding mass. You're in the bustling heart of a Roman culina, a kitchen, perhaps attached to a prosperous domus, townhouse, or even a sprawling villa rustica in the countryside. Your tunic is rough but clean, your focus absolute. You are no longer an accidental pioneer. You are a cog in the well-oiled machine of Roman culinary ambition, tasked with transforming fresh milk into caseous cheese. The core principle remains: milk, rennet, separation, draining. But oh, the refinement. Forget scavenged sheep stomachs. Here, rennet is often prepared deliberately, extracted from the stomachs of suckling calves or lambs, cleaned, dried, and stored as small, potent cakes or infused into brine or whey. You might even use alternatives like fig sap or thistle flowers, knowledge passed down through generations of casey makers. The milk itself? Cow's milk yields larger, firmer cheeses favored by many, while sheep and goat milk offer distinct, often sharper profiles. You heat the milk carefully in a bronze kakabus pot over a charcoal brazier, not boiling, just warm enough to encourage the rennet's magic without scorching. Precision is creeping in. You stir in the prepared rennet, perhaps dissolved in a little water or whey, and wait. The transformation feels less like wild alchemy, more like practiced craft. When the curd sets firm, a clean break when you insert a finger, you begin the cut. Using a special wooden harpago, a harp-like tool with parallel wires, or perhaps just a sharp knife, you slice the delicate gel into small uniform cubes. This crucial step, the size of the curd cut, directly impacts the final cheese's moisture and texture. Smaller curds release more whey, leading to harder cheeses. Larger curds retain more moisture for softer varieties. It's a level of control your Neolithic ancestor could only dream of. You gently stir the cut curds, letting them release their cloudy whey bath. This whey isn't discarded lightly. It might be drunk, fresh lac, concretum, fed to pigs, used to preserve meats, like that ubiquitous patasso, boiled ham, or fermented into a sour drink called melka. Nothing wasted. Roman efficiency at its finest. Draining evolves beyond simple reed baskets. You scoop the curds into purpose-made woven grass or reed molds, or increasingly, into sturdy ceramic facellae. These molds are often perforated and sometimes even weighted with smooth stones to press out more whey, shaping the cheese into recognizable wheels or blocks. This is where the real artistry begins. You don't just drain, you season. While your predecessors stumbled upon salt, you now wield it deliberately, like a flavor sculptor. You might mix fine salt directly into the curds before molding. Or more commonly, you submerge the freshly unmolded cheese into a concentrated brine bath, a salsamentum, for hours or days. The salt penetrates, preserving, enhancing flavor, and crucially, forming that vital rind. But salt isn't the only player. Herbs, crushed peppercorns, toasted cumin seeds, even crushed juniper berries, they find their way into the curd mix or are pressed onto the surface. You might hang cheeses near the kitchen smoke vent, letting fragrant applewood or beech smoke curl around them, imbuing them with a golden hue and a complex, savory depth. Smoked cheese wasn't just tasty. The Romans believed, correctly as it turns out, it helped preserve the cheese further. Here's the quirky bit. Some adventurous Roman cheesemakers experimented with truly ancient flavor hacks. There's tantalizing, albeit debated, evidence suggesting some cheeses might have been washed or even briefly soaked in garum, the infamous fermented fish sauce that was the Roman equivalent of ketchup. Imagine a sharp, salty cheese with a funky, umami fish sauce tang. Not for the faint of heart. Then or now, was this widespread? Classicists are still passionately debating how common this practice actually was, or if it was just a niche, regional experiment. The results of this Roman ingenuity are staggering. Simple fresh cheeses, caseus recens, similar to ricotta or farmer's cheese, are eaten daily. Firmer, salted varieties, caseus salsas, travel well, feeding legionaries on distant frontiers. Smoked cheeses, caseus fumosas, grace the tables of the wealthy. There are mentions of cheeses aged in skins or jars, hinting at early attempts at controlled maturation. Cheese isn't just peasant food anymore. It's a versatile ingredient. It's grated over steaming vegetable stews, mortum, baked into savory pastries, placenta, served with fruit and honey as a sophisticated dessert course, secunda mensa, or simply enjoyed with bread and olives as a quick prandium, lunch. Wealthy patricians boast of cheeses imported from specific regions, the sharp goat cheeses of the Alps, the rich cow's milk cheeses of Cisalpine Gaul. Your humble curds have ascended the social ladder. As you carefully turn a row of brine-soaked cheeses, their surfaces glistening, you feel a connection to that bewildered herder millennia ago. The core accident is still there, buried deep, but layered now with centuries of accumulated skill, deliberate experimentation, and a distinctly Roman flair for flavor. The cheese on your workbench isn't just sustenance. It's a product of an empire's palate. And somewhere, a wealthy senator is about to enjoy a slice of history. Your history, perhaps sprinkled with a little precious pepper, utterly unaware of the millennia-long, messy, glorious accident that made it possible. The journey isn't just continuing, it's getting deliciously sophisticated. Cheese is starting to understand its own potential. The sharp tang of garum and the clamor of the Roman collina fade, replaced by a profound, resonant silence broken only by the rhythmic drip of water on stone and the distant, melodic chant of voices rising and falling in unison. The air is cool, damp, and carries the earthy scent of stone, old parchment, wood smoke, and something deeply organic, complex, almost alive. You stand not in a bustling kitchen, but in the vaulted, dimly lit coolness of a medieval monastery cellar. Your rough tunic is covered by a simple woolen scapular. Your hands, accustomed to labor, now handle clay pots and woven cloths with a deliberate, almost reverent care. You are a brother, perhaps a lay brother tasked with the dairy, in an order like the Cistercians or Benedictines, guardians not just of souls, but of a quiet, revolutionary, culinary tradition, monastic cheesemaking. Here, far from the chaos of wars, plagues, and feudal squabbles, time operates differently. It stretches, deepens, becomes a tangible tool. The frantic pace of the Roman kitchen gives way to meticulous observation and patient waiting. Your predecessors, those early herders and Roman artisans, laid the foundations. But within these thick stone walls, cheesemaking evolves from craft into something approaching an art form, infused with devotion and a unique opportunity for systematic experimentation. You have the two things most medieval peasants lack: security and records. Raids rarely target holy houses with the same ferocity. And the monastic vow includes labor, ora et labora, pray and work, and crucially, the meticulous recording of knowledge. Your daily tasks are noted in the cellar ledger. Dates, milk sources, weather, techniques, results. Centuries of trial and error are slowly codified. Your lab is the dairy, a cool stone room above ground, and these deep, natural-cooled cellars below. The core steps remain: milk warmed, often gently over wood embers, rennet added, still primarily from calves, carefully prepared, curd cut, drained. But the variables you control are staggering. The choice of milk becomes paramount. The monastery's herds graze on specific pastures, lush valley grass, high mountain meadows rich with wildflowers, maybe even salt marshes near the coast. You note how milk from Sister Agnes's favorite alpine cow, grazing on gentians and clover, yields a sweeter, creamier curd than Brother Bertrand's hardy sheep on the wind-scoured hills, whose milk produces a smaller yield but a cheese with astonishing depth and tang. Goats, thriving on scrubby, rocky terrain unsuitable for cows, offer yet another distinct, often sharper profile. You deliberately separate milks, making single origin cheeses long before it was a marketing term. Draining happens in woven grass molds or simple wooden hoops lined with rough linen, but it's what happens after draining that defines the monastic magic. The fresh, moist cheese wheels are brought down here to the silent, constant chill of the cellar. This is where time, temperature, humidity, and unseen microbial life become your collaborators. You rub the young cheeses with coarse salt, feeling the grit against your fingers. Some are left bare, others are carefully wrapped in damp cloths. Still, others are placed on wooden shelves brushed with solutions of older cheeses, an early, instinctive form of smearing cultures, introducing specific bacteria to guide the rind development. You notice how cheeses stored near the perpetually damp back wall develop a sticky, orange rind and a pungent aroma, while those nearer the slightly drier entrance develop a velvety white coat and milder flavor. You experiment, moving wheels between these microclimates. And then there are the caves. Not all monasteries had them, but those that did possessed nature's perfect cheese-aging chambers. Imagine carrying a heavy wheel down a narrow, rocky passage, the air growing colder, damper, smelling of ancient rock and minerals. You place it on a natural limestone shelf alongside dozens of others, like sleeping forms in the earth. Here, the temperature rarely fluctuates. The humidity is near perfect, and the air is thick with wild, endemic molds invisible to your eye. Over months, sometimes years, these natural spores settle on the cheese rinds. Blues streak through the paste of some, creating veins like marble. Roquefort's legend claims a shepherd abandoned his cheese in such a cave to chase a maiden, returning months later to discover blue veins, though monks likely perfected it. Others develop a thick, bloomy rind of white Penicillium candidum. This isn't neglect. It's controlled exploitation of a unique environment. Monks essentially became the first custodians of terroir for cheese, understanding that place, pasture, cellar, cave, profoundly shaped the final product. Here's the quirky monastic secret weapon: silence and cats. The vow of silence, prevalent in many orders, surprisingly beneficial for cheesemaking. Less chatter meant less disturbance of the delicate microbial ecosystems in the cellars and caves. And cats? Revered as mousers protecting precious grain stores, they were equally vital in the dairy and cellars. A single mouse could ruin months of work gnawing on a precious wheel. Cats were not just tolerated, they were often formally employed by monasteries, their presence carefully noted and encouraged as essential pest control. Imagine a serene, plump tabby, a silent guardian patrolling the rows of slowly transforming cheese, its purr a quiet counterpoint to the monk's chants. The results are cheeses of astonishing diversity and character, creamy, oozing delights, firm, nutty rounds, pungent, washed, rind wonders, veined blue marvels. They become vital sustenance for the brothers, a source of income traded with local villages or pilgrims, and even tithes offered to nobility or the church. Names begin to emerge, often tied to the place. Munster, from Monasterium; Port du Salut, named after the abbey; Marois, Citeaux. Was the specific blue mold in Roquefort caves truly first discovered by a lovelorn shepherd, or was it patiently cultivated by observant monks over generations? Food historians relish this debate, with monastic records providing clues but no definitive eureka moment. What's undeniable is that within these quiet cloisters, through patient observation, meticulous record-keeping, and a deep connection to their specific environment, monks transformed regional cheesemaking. They didn't just preserve Roman techniques, they unlocked cheese's vast potential for complexity, creating edible libraries of flavor that whispered of specific meadows, cool cellars, and ancient caves. As you gently turn a wheel of slowly bluing cheese in the cave's dim light, you feel the weight of time and tradition. That Neolithic accident has journeyed through empires and now rests, quietly ripening, in the hands of those who understood the sacredness of slow transformation. The cheese on your shelf isn't just food. It's a testament to patience, place, and the profound alchemy of time. The world outside might be tumultuous, but down here, history ripens in delicious silence. The cool, damp silence of the monastic cellar dissolves like mist under a rising sun, replaced by a sound so profound it vibrates in your bones. A deep, rhythmic thump 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 that shakes the wooden floorboards beneath your feet. The air is thick, warm, and carries a cacophony of scents: steam, hot metal, souring whey, fresh milk by the vat load, and an underlying industrial tang of coal smoke and machine oil. Gone are the stone arches and quiet contemplation. You stand on the clattering wooden walkway of a 19th century cheese factory, a vast, echoing barn of a place filled with the shriek of steam whistles, the clang of metal, and the shouts of workers. Your hands, once accustomed to gently turning small wheels of cheese, now wrestle with heavy valves, hulking paddles, and the sheer, overwhelming volume of it all. You are part of the Industrial Revolution's relentless churn, transforming cheese from a craft born of patience into a commodity driven by efficiency. The scale hits you first. Forget the monastery's carefully tended herd of a few dozen cows. Outside, railway wagons disgorge milk by the 1,000-gallon tank from farms miles away, collected by steam-powered creameries. Inside, that milk cascades into colossal steam-jacketed copper vats, monsters large enough to bathe a horse. No gentle warming over embers here. Pressurized steam roars through pipes lining the vats, bringing oceans of milk to the precise temperature demanded by the new scientific gospel, Louis Pasteur's germ theory. Pasteurization, heating milk to kill harmful bacteria, is rapidly becoming law in many places. It's a lifesaver, drastically reducing food poisoning from contaminated milk, especially in crowded, unsanitary cities. But as you watch the sterile, uniform milk swirl in the vat, a quiet lament echoes. It also kills the complex, beneficial microbes unique to each farm and region, the very terroir monks spent centuries cultivating. The debate rages even now. Did pasteurization, while saving lives, inadvertently homogenize, flavor, and cripple the development of complex, local cheese styles in its early, indiscriminate application? Historians and cheesemongers are still weighing the trade-offs. Rennet is no longer a carefully prepared extract from the monastery's own calves. It arrives in standardized bottles, produced in distant factories from vast quantities of calf stomachs, its potency predictable and consistent. You pour it mechanically into the vats, giant mechanical stirrers powered by leather belts connected to a throbbing central steam engine, churn the setting curd, replacing the patient hand stirring of generations, precision reins, cutting. Forget the harpago. Enormous wireframe cheese knives, lowered into the vat on pulleys, slice the curd mass into perfectly uniform cubes with mechanical efficiency. Whey drains through slotted false bottoms into channels below, destined for industrial uses like producing lactose or feeding factory-farmed pigs. Speed is paramount. Time, once cheese's greatest ally, is now its enemy on the factory floor. The drained curds are shoveled, not gently scooped, into endless rows of identical, perforated metal hoops stacked high on hydraulic presses. Tons of pressure squeeze out whey at an unprecedented rate, forming standardized blocks or cylinders. Forget the unique shapes born from woven grass or wooden molds. Every cheese must fit the same crate, stacked the same way, weigh the same. The pressed cheeses are then wheeled into vast curing rooms, artificially heated and humidified spaces designed to mimic aging conditions but on an accelerated schedule. Brining happens in concrete tanks large enough to swim in, filled with precisely measured salt solutions. Consistency, uniformity, predictability, these are the new gods. The cheddar coming off this line in Wisconsin or Somerset isn't the painstakingly cloth-bound, cave-aged product of a single farm. It's a brand, a style mass-produced across continents. Cheese becomes affordable, accessible, a staple on the working class table, no longer a luxury or a local oddity. This is the true cheese democracy. Quantity conquering scarcity. But industry breeds its own accidents. Here's the quirky, slightly bizarre twist: processed cheese. Picture this: early 20th century. You're working in a factory, wrestling with mountains of off-spec cheese. Wheels that cracked, didn't age right, developed uneven flavors. Waste, disaster, until someone, probably frustrated and frugal, experiments. They take these cheese scraps, grind them up, melt them down with a emulsifying salt like sodium citrate, maybe add some milk or whey powder, and end up with a smooth, homogeneous, molten goo that solidifies into a remarkably stable, sliceable, meltable product when cooled. It was born purely from economic necessity, saving waste, not culinary ambition. It melts perfectly without separating, lasts forever on a shelf, and becomes the bedrock of grilled cheese sandwiches, cheeseburgers, and military rations. Kraft singles Velveeta, the neon orange legacy of industrial salvage. Was it a culinary abomination or a stroke of genius? Food scientists still argue about its cultural and nutritional impact, even as it dominates supermarket shelves. It's cheese, stripped down, rebuilt by chemistry, a far cry from the sheep stomach pouch. So here you stand, amidst the steam and the din. The air thrums with progress. Cheese is cheaper, safer, and more plentiful than ever before. Millions who never tasted it now have it on their daily bread. But as you watch the identical blocks trundle down the conveyor belt, you can't help but feel a pang for the lost variations. The unique tang of Brother Bertrand's hillside sheep, the blue veins born only in a specific French cave, the smoky whisper of a Roman hearth. The Industrial Revolution democratized cheese, but at the cost of much of its soul, its connection to place and time. That ancient accident in the desert? It's been analyzed, standardized, pasteurized, and pressed into conformity. Yet, even amidst the roar, a countercurrent stirs. Small voices begin to whisper, remembering the old ways, seeking the taste of something real, something slow, something with a story deeper than a production line. The pendulum, having swung so far towards mass production, is poised to swing back. But for now, the factory reigns, feeding a hungry world, one perfectly uniform, perfectly safe, perfectly industrial block at a time. The journey hasn't ended, it's just forked onto a very wide, very loud road. The relentless thump-thump-thump of the factory steam engine fades, slowly, like a heavy curtain lowering at the end of a long performance. The sharp tang of metal and whey dissolves, replaced by nothing at first. Then, a soft, cool darkness, gentle, embracing. You feel the weight of millennia settling around you, not as a burden, but as a deep, comforting blanket. That bewildered herder under the shimmering heat, the Roman cook's hands slick with brine and smoke, the monk's quiet reverence in the candlelit cave, the factory worker's grit under the steam's glare. They aren't gone. Their layers, rich and complex, folded into the very essence of the simple thing you might spread on your toast tomorrow. Think of the cheese now, wherever it rests, in a quiet dairy cave, a humming factory fridge, your own kitchen. It's sleeping, ripening, transforming still in its own slow time. Each tiny microbe, each subtle shift in humidity is a whisper from those ancient accidents, those patient monks, those relentless engineers. It's not just food, it's a story solidified, a testament to human curiosity, ingenuity, and sometimes glorious, messy blunders. A story that began with a slosh in a pouch, a moment of desperate hunger, a spark of wonder, and continues now, quietly, in the dark. Feel the cool stillness of the aging room, the deep, earthy calm of the cave, the soft hum of your own refrigerator, merging into one lullaby of time and transformation. Let the sharp edges soften, the noise dissolve into silence, the centuries blur into a single, smooth stream, carrying you deeper and deeper into the gentle, dream-ripened dark where history rests and tomorrow's flavor slowly forms in perfect, quiet peace.